Okay, so we want to now think deliberately about the structure and form of this poem. Now, again, it's a three-verse poem with varying line lengths throughout and varying stanza lengths, but we can deal with each one of these a section at a time and make an overall point about the structure and form of this. So the first thing to note is here the red dots are where we're going to talk about structure. Here we have this opening couplet, these two sentences. Look, both are complete sentences and isolated on their own. I think that short stanza length and the simple structure of the sentences very deliberately gives us the sense of scarcity, of something that suggests a lack or absence. So we open the poem with a structure, an element of its structure, its sentence length and the stanza itself that suggests lack or absence. So that is an important point for number one, the first feature of the structure and form. The opening two lines are both short sentences and they form a small couplet that suggests scarcity. The second distinctive feature, I think, is the gradual increase between stanza 1 and 2. There's a sense of gradual increase as we think about the increase in the water. As we think about the water flowing, the line lengths become, the number of lines per stanza doubles as we imagine the drip of it. I think the line break is the second important feature of the structure there. That isolation of the word echo on that final part of the line through this deliberate line break that immediately gives us the sense of the word on its own and emphasizes absence. If something is echoing, what we're seeing is what the experience is not rather than what it is. So we're hearing only the echo of water rather than water itself, and that line break emphasizes this. Importantly, I think the enjambment in this stanza is the distinctive feature, but overall the stanza size, it's much more expansive in terms of its line number, which again correlates to the expansion of the water supply through the explosion. It suggests that expansion of the water supply. And the enjambment throughout this whole stanza is our third distinctive kind of feature of the structure, that we have this dynamic flowing of the sentences across each of the lines in order to mirror the flow of the water as it explodes from the municipal pipe and explodes into a place where the people can get their hands on it. So we then have this interesting tapering of the line lengths, which is our fourth point. So we've got the enjambment in the stanza size being a related point. Then we've got the tapering line lengths towards the end of this middle stanza, I think that suggests the greater sense of control that the people have over the experience as they gain something that can collect the water. So we have this explosion and then their ability to control it as the line lengths shrink. The final distinctive feature of the structure is this stanza break here that is based on a shift in tone. The final stanza isolates a very ambiguous culminating section of the poem that is distinctively and visually separated from this energetic, optimistic moment of the expansion of the water supply. So we have, even though we're talking about the same scene in this final stanza, the stanza break emphasizes that we've got a shift in tone in that final stanza, as the conclusion of the poem is much more ambiguous than the sort of optimism and energy of this middle stanza would imply. So we've got short sentences at the beginning, small stanza that suggests absence, a gradual increase in the stanza size as we imagine the water, and then this line break that emphasizes absence by forcing us to dwell on the word echo and the echo of water rather than its presence. We've then got a much bigger stanza, many more line lengths as the water explosion takes place, and then this distinctive enjambment that runs across the lines in this second stanza that mirrors the dynamic flow of the water. We then have the tapering length of the lines towards the end of this middle stanza as the people involved in the scene get greater control over the experience. And then finally, a stanza break that highlights a distinctive tone shift in the final part of the poem, and the ending becomes much more ambiguous, that we see that this is not necessarily a moment for celebration and that their abject, awful poverty has not really been taken away in spite of this accidental supply of water. So that's the structure and form of this poem.